Today we're doing 6.3 and we're talking about Pythagorean theorem. And this is one of my favorite lessons. I really enjoy it and I hope you will too. So first what we have to get down is a few definitions. And when we're talking about Pythagorean theorem, we will always be talking about right triangles. So remember, a right triangle has a 90-degree angle, okay? And all of the sides have their own term. The two sides that create the 90-degree angle are called the leg. The side that is always across from the 90-degree angle is called the hypotenuse. And this is always the largest or the longest side. And the Pythagorean theory says that if we take the legs, and let's just label them A and B. If we do A squared plus B squared, it will equal the hypotenuse, which we can label as C. So it will equal C squared. So this right here, this equation, is your Pythagorean theorem that you want to get down. Let's practice using the Pythagorean theorem. So remember, it's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And remember, your legs are your A and B, and they create the 90-degree angle. So in this case, A and B are going to be 1 and 1. So these are going to equal A and B. So we can say that 1 squared plus 1 squared equals C squared. So your C is your hypotenuse. So we're solving for the hypotenuse right now. Well, 1 squared, remember, this means 1 times 1. And 1 times 1 is 1. So we get 1 plus 1 equals C squared. And 1 plus 1 is 2, so 2 equals C squared. But we need to undo that square. So remember, to undo a square, we take the square root. So you're going to need to use your calculator. And we can round to the nearest hundredth, so 2 spots. So we're going to say that C equals 1.41. Alright, let's try to find the length of the hypotenuse again. But now we're going to have to graph 3 points. So first, go ahead and graph your points. Once you've done so, you should see that you create this triangle. So what we can do is we can find the lengths again, just like we did in the last 2 lessons, by finding the 2 legs. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our 2 legs are 8 and 6. So we can say 6 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. Well, 6 times 6 is 36, plus 8 times 8, which is 64, equals C squared. 36 plus 64 is 100, so 100 equals C squared. Now here's the most important part. We have to undo that square. So we're going to take the square root, and the square root of 100 is 10. Let's try another one. Let's see if we can find this missing side length. Now what's different here is they're giving us B rather than our hypotenuse. So now we're solving for a leg. So we're going to start the same way. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So let's plug in what we know. Well, we have to figure out which one's A and which one's C. Remember, A and B are your legs, and your legs make up the 90-degree angle. So we know that this is B, and our 90-degree angle here, so that means 5 is A, which makes 13 our C. So we can say 5 squared plus B squared equals 13 squared. 5 squared is 25, so 25 plus B squared equals, well, what's 13 times 13? You can use your calculator if you don't know. You should have gotten 169. Now we have to get b squared by itself. So we need to move this 25 to the other side. So remember, we're always doing the opposite. So we're going to add a negative 25 to both sides. And we get b squared equals 144. And then we need to do square root of both. So b equals 12. Alright, what we're going to do is we are going to use Pythagorean theorem to find the area of this triangle. Now remember, to have Pythagorean theorem, we have to have a right triangle. And if we look here, we actually have two right triangles. We have one on the left and one on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one and I'm going to break it off so that we can look at it. So if we focus on this bottom triangle here, let's see if we can figure out what a is. So we know how to use Pythagorean theorem of a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we know that a is what we're solving for. Now, which one is b and which one is c? See if you can figure that out on your own. You should have came up with your 1 is b and your 2 is c, because a and 1 make up the 90-degree angle and 2 is across from the 90-degree angle, and it's also your longest side. So we can say a squared plus 1 squared equals 2 squared. So let's just solve. So we get a squared plus 1 equals 4. We need to get a alone, so we're going to add a negative 1 to both sides. And we get a squared equals 3. And now I'm going to take the square root, so I get a equals 1.73. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So now let's go back and look at this big triangle. We want to find the area. To find area of a triangle, it's 1/2 base times height. Well, we know our height is 1.73. If we think of this triangle as a whole, what would that whole base be? Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. So we know that this is 2. So let's just go ahead and let's fill it in to our equation. The area equals 1/2. Our base is 2, and our height is 1.73. So let's just go ahead and solve it. A equals, I'm going to do 2 times 1.73 first, and I'm going to use my calculator, and I get 3.46. And now I'm going to multiply it by 1/2, or I'm going to divide it by 2. Going to get the same thing, and you end up getting 1.73 units squared. So this is your final answer. So we needed to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out the height. From here, you can now go ahead and do your exit slip.